Hi, Taiza. Welcome to my
Hi,
kitchen.
Fiona. Nice. Welcome back to No Take It Backward. We are discussing more concepts about starting over on this YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us, joining us. And if you like this content, please subscribe. We have so many other videos to cover. Great concepts about starting over. We have Fiona joining us from her kitchen. It's quite lovely. And she is prepping her cherries for making pickles. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of pickled cherries. I've never heard of pickled cherries before, but really excited to see what she's up to and how she's doing it. So today we are doing a little intro or a little commentary from the kitchen.
We
Fiona.
are. We are. So these aren't sour cherries. I know that sour cherries get pickled. That's a common thing, but I'm using like table cherries or sweet cherries, and I've never done it before. And I've got a chopstick here to push the seed out into a bottle. Right, got a narrow neck on it to try and push the seed out because I want them in there. Because I have this craving or this aspiration to have these cherries. I can't get that seed out. To go on top of a pavlova, which is a very Australian thing, or maybe a New Zealand thing. We sort of argue over who invented the pavlova. That's just between the Australians and New Zealanders again. So yes, no ticket backwards. These little seeds have got no ticket backwards. They're going down the hole here.
Yep, they're being pushed out and moved into a new environment, but they could all be turned into trees, which is a way forward, depending on what you're doing with them. So with some of the things that we talked about in our extensive playlist, which you can always find on the YouTube channel, we talked a lot about protection, and I loved it because we came at protection from so many different angles. One of the things that comes up with protection is boundaries. Boundaries are kind of, that word is having a field day in therapy, like as a buzzword for therapy, coaching, self-improvement industries. So different people are using it as jargon for different ways of describing something. Boundaries are not rules. That's the first thing. It's a rule you might set for yourself about your own behavior. Generally speaking, everyone can use it a little bit differently, so it's not like there's this really strong overarching context of the difference between a boundary and a rule. But there's a creative process in it, and we were talking about that. And that's part of what we wanted to bring to the kitchen, because when you're creatively creating your boundaries, it's not so different than creating something from scratch that you've never done before, because it's like you have to figure it out as you're going. Like here we see it looks that jar looks bloody. Like
Yes,
the red
looks
cherries.
gruesome.
Wow, yeah. It looks like it could be a
I've
prop
worn
in
this dark coloured dress because I need something to camouflage the cherry juice. It's going to go everywhere. This is an old dress. It's my gardening dress, so it doesn't matter if it gets stains all over it. But yeah, about the boundaries though and creativity, I guess we have to create our own future and what we want in our own future. And I've been going through, well, I guess it's happened all my life where it's like, I guess my boundaries for me are what I accept and what I don't accept. What's acceptable in my life? What am I willing to accept? What am I willing to tolerate? Is, I guess, where boundaries come in some aspects of my life. Yes, I have like the fence line around my property that, the pets can't get out of to keep them safe. But boundaries in my own life are more around, I guess, going back again, sorry, digressing in my head before I even have any idea what's in my head. I was thinking about the other day, like when I was a teenager and I'd talk about, who's my ideal boyfriend and what qualities will he have. When I was a teenager, there were probably physical qualities that I was looking at. Whereas now, when I look at, well, not necessarily, I've got a husband, so I'm not looking for a boyfriend, but when I'm looking for a friend or looking for somebody, it's not the physical qualities that I'm looking for. it's beyond normal social characteristics as well. It's those deep values that people have and the energy, I guess, if you want to use that word, that they bring. What do they value? What do they bring to the table that complements mine, can lift me up and elevate me? So when I think about boundaries, like, am I willing to tolerate somebody who is just constantly pessimistic? And that was me a few years ago. And I can see why some people wandered away from me. Fair enough.
Right.
Around. But, like, where am I now? What am I willing to tolerate? Am I willing to be a bit empathetic in my boundaries for some people for a little while, just to give them a listening ear? Because everybody, when they're down and out, needs a listening ear. And how, like, where's my boundary end? Like, what's my limit? At what point will I go, actually, I can't give any more of my time and energy to you because you're just sapping me and draining me?
I love everything you're covering. As a teacher, I think you have such a profound way sometimes of distinguishing core concepts. And I was thinking that as you were talking, can you give like the educational blurb of how you distinguish a boundary from a rule?
You put me on the spot. Let me think about that. A boundary from a rule. So in teaching, we have a bit of a saying of, oh, that kid needs some boundary training. And in that boundary training, sometimes we talk about just understanding where the social norms start and finish. Sometimes in that boundary training, it's like, it's okay to put your feet up on the lounge at home, but it's not actually okay to put your feet up on the lounge at school. So it's like about the social norms and where's the right time and place for certain things. There's another teacher conversation that sometimes we say behind the scenes where, like, yes, that child might need some support with boundary training, like knowing when it's okay to scream and yell, and when it's okay to run really fast, and in what environment it's okay to run really fast. And then we have the other ones that we say that they're undomesticated. Basically, we say that they're feral.
Feral children.
Because they're more than just wild and free. They are they're looking for connection. They're connection seeking and not sure how to do that connection seeking because they're looking for that nurture and that connection. So, in answering your question, a boundary is a limit. So what's the limit that you are going to take in a physical sense? What's the limit that you're going to accept in an energetic or an emotional or socially acceptable way? What's the limit? I see boundaries as an interchangeable word with limit.
That's really helpful, I think. One of the things I think that helps distinguish too is like a rule is you can do this, you cannot do this. Whereas what you were talking with the boundary training, it's a softer science. It's not so much this or that. Like with the limit, it's operating within social norms. So like what could be a social norm in one society could be very different in another society. Like when we're making pie, it's always like, that smells good, right? And sniffing what someone's making is not considered rude, but there's countries in Africa where sniffing food is considered rude. So it's just kind of a softer, like like you were saying with domestication. Um so I love that. And I have to say I love the flowers in the background. I know this is a little off topic, but they're so pretty. Like everything's white with silver and black, and then there's this beautiful pop of pink. Are they lilies?
They are lilies, and they have a
They're
very
so
strong aroma. And they come, oh my God, another last for this summer of my lilies.
lovely.
They're lovely. It's been great talking about boundaries, and I think defining what the word boundary means in our conversation is really important. Thanks.
I agree, and it's been fun watching you with your cherry enterprise. And we'll wrap this up for now, but there's more. And so if you like this, we will have continuations of this conversation. Your hands are full of cherry blood. We'll continue this conversation with future episodes. So check out the Fiona and Taiza playlist. And thank you for joining us.